Hello and welcome. Thank you for being here and investing your time in improving your English and yourself. You listen to English a lot, but the more you listen, the more stupid you feel because you try to catch every single word and you drown right in the first sentence. You play a conversation, you only catch 3 or 4 familiar words, then the speaker already moves to another idea and you start to panic. You rewind, try to connect the broken sounds together, and in the end, you feel tired before you even understand what they are talking about. You think you are weak because you do not have enough vocabulary, because your pronunciation is not good, because your brain is slow. But there is a truth that very few people tell you. The biggest mistake in listening practice is not a lack of vocabulary. The biggest mistake is trying to understand every single word as if you are translating each word in your head. And that is what makes you lose the rhythm, fall behind the speaker, and slowly want to give up. You are not losing because English is too hard. You are losing because you are listening in the wrong way. When you try to catch every word, you turn listening into a spelling test. You hear one new word, your brain stops for a few seconds to find the meaning, and in those few seconds, the speaker has already moved 3 or 4 ideas ahead. You cannot keep up, you lose confidence, and you start to think you are not good at listening. In fact, even native speakers do not listen like that. They do not sit and analyze every sound. They do not separate each word to check the meaning. They listen in chunks of meaning. They follow the flow of the sentence, and they accept that there are parts they do not catch. Think about when you listen to Vietnamese in a noisy coffee shop. You do not hear every word clearly. You only catch the important words, then you connect them to get the overall meaning. Your brain guesses the rest based on the context. English is the same. But you do not allow yourself to guess. You force yourself to understand 100%, and that pressure makes you fail from the beginning. The most important thing in listening is not to understand everything, but to understand the main point. Instead of asking, "What does this word mean?" you need to ask, "What are they talking about?" You do not need to catch every small detail. You only need to see the big picture. For example, when you listen to something about travel, you only need to know they are talking about a trip, about feelings, about problems they had. You do not need to understand every adjective that describes the hotel. You do not need to know exactly what food they ate if that is not the main point. When you change your goal from understand every word to understand the main idea, the pressure in your head becomes much smaller. You start to listen in a more relaxed way. And strangely, when you stop trying too hard, you understand more. Listening is a skill about rhythm and flow. When you stop pausing all the time to translate, you begin to feel the natural rhythm of the sentence. You start to notice familiar structures that you did not see before. If you can only hear one part of a sentence clearly, listen to the stressed words. In English, not every word is equally important. Content words like nouns, verbs, and adjectives are usually stressed. Words like prepositions, pronouns, or linking words often pass very quickly. So if you try to catch everything, you will feel overwhelmed. English is a stress-timed language. That means stressed words appear in a fairly regular rhythm while the other words are reduced. Try to listen again to a sentence you know well. You will see that only a few words stand out and the rest almost disappear. When you focus on those strong words, you can guess the meaning even if you miss the rest. For example, when someone speaks quickly on the phone, you might only hear words like meeting, tomorrow, change, time. With only those words, you already understand they are talking about changing the meeting time tomorrow. You do not need to hear every small sound between the words. Native speakers do the same. They use key words and context to guess the tense, the attitude, and the overall meaning. They do not panic when they miss a part. They accept the gap and fill it with their listening experience. Sentence stress can even change the meaning of a sentence. When someone stresses a word like near, they want to make the distance clear. When they stress a word like no, they want to make the negative meaning strong. If you hear the stress, you understand the intention. If you miss the stress, you may misunderstand the feeling behind the sentence. You will never understand 100%, and that is completely normal. At any level, there is always something you cannot catch. The difference between someone who improves and someone who quits is how they react to that gap. The person who quits thinks they must understand everything before they can continue. The person who improves accepts the missing parts and keeps listening. When you allow yourself to be imperfect, you keep the rhythm. When you keep the rhythm, you follow the story. And when you follow the story, listening doesn't feel scary anymore. Listening is not a test. Listening is a process of getting used to sounds, to rhythm, and how people really speak in real life. You do not need to translate in your head. You only need to stay with the flow of the conversation. Part 5. How to practice listening in the right way. If you want to change, you need to practice in a new way. Start with short recordings, listen many times, and first try to write down only the stressed words. Don't try to write the whole sentence at the beginning. Just catch the strong words and connect them. After that, you can add the missing parts. When you feel more comfortable, listen to longer content like news or podcasts without checking words immediately. Your goal is not to translate. Your goal is to follow the main idea. You also need to change your expectations. Don't start a video thinking you must understand everything. Remind yourself that understanding the general meaning is enough. More importantly, listen to English every day. You do not need to sit for 1 full hour at once. You can divide it while washing dishes, walking, or waiting for a bus. Your ears need regular exposure to get used to the natural rhythm of stress. And there is one difficult but very important thing. Limit subtitles. Subtitles make your eyes work more than your ears. You return to the habit of reading every word instead of listening for the main idea. If you use subtitles, use them only after you have listened once without looking at the text. You are not as weak as you think. You are just fighting on the wrong battlefield. Listening to English is not a word puzzle. It is the ability to catch the meaning and the rhythm. When you stop hunting every word and start listening for stress and main ideas, everything becomes lighter. You will not panic when you miss a small part. You will not stop in the middle of a sentence because of one new word. You will start to keep up. And when you keep up, you become confident. Maybe today you still do not understand everything, but if you keep the rhythm, tomorrow you will understand more than today. And that is how people who are really good at listening have gone through this journey. If you find this video interesting and helpful, please give me a like and subscribe.